There are several methods we can use to extract elements from a data frame. And just like other objects, we can use the square bracket notation where I is the row index and J is the column index. First, let's go ahead and create a data frame from our previous video. So you can see here, we have a table format with our data elements. So to select the table elements, so suppose we wanted to just extract the first row and the first column, the element in the first row, and the first column. Okay, so we just supply our data frame, which is this, and these are the contents. So we just say 1, 1. Okay, we execute that, and we can see here, this is the first row, first column. Again, here, if we wanted to select the value, extract the value in row 2 and column 3, row 2 and column 3. Okay, so what we do here is 2, 3, as simple as that. And now we can see we already have that data element. Okay, we can also select different values from the table. So let's say we wanted to extract maybe from 1 to 2, rows 1 to 2, and probably from column 3 to column 4. So that's how we do it. We can also use the C function here. So I just select that, and then I could just shift parentheses, right? Make sure I have a C here. It's the same thing, C. Then I just select that, shift C, parentheses. It should give us the same table format. Okay. Another way to do this, let's say, for example, you wanted to exclude certain rows and columns. We use the negative index, right? So here we're saying return or display all the elements, excluding the second row and the second column, okay? Like that. So we've excluded the second row and the second column. Similarly here, we can use the colon notation to exclude the second row up to the second, up to the third row. Same here, from second column to the third column will give us the same thing. So we've just sliced that. So we just left with the first row and the remaining columns. Okay. Similarly, if you're going to use the C function here, make sure the negative is just before C. You get the same display of elements. Okay. Now, another thing, if you don't supply the values, right? Let's say in this example here, we just say, okay, we just want to view only the first row, and we leave this J, which is for columns. What that means, it will return all the columns, right? So just like this. So I'm saying return only the first row, but data for all the columns, okay? And I can actually say also the third row, for example. You can see here, that's the third row. What if we just want to return all the rows, but for a specific column? Okay, so we just leave this space, right, blank. We leave this part for the row blank, and then we can specify which column we want to view. So we want to slice that bit, and incidentally, it returns a vector. And you can also use the column notation here to say we want to view only from second column, fourth column, but all the rows. So I think this is a much better example. Other options we can use in addition to the square bracket, okay, we can use the $ here, or we can use the square bracket, and we can give the name or the variable or the column name, okay, or we can use this double bracket notation, and J is our column name, okay. So let's now use our inbuilt data set. So let's go ahead and load that one. You can see the structure here. We have 32 observation, 11 variables, and incidentally, all of them are numbers. Okay, so we can use this $ to access this specific column. So first of all, let's try this. Okay, so the name here is just the column name. So suppose I just want to get the contents of this MPG. So this is how I do it. It just returns a list. Okay, you can see it's just a list here. And by the way, you can use the help function to get some description about this data set. As you can see, the origin, how it was collected, and this is all the columns, the abbreviation for all the columns. Okay. Again, here you can see when you use the $, if you loaded up the data set, will be given all this different stuff. Okay, these are the column names. So I can select MPG here, and that just returns the content, right? Which happens to be numeric. Okay, we can also use the, say we want to, so this actually the first column, it's the same thing as MPG. So if I use the double square brackets, it's the same thing as this, right? So if I go ahead and run that, you can see we get similar results actually. Okay, but how if we use square bracket notation, right? And then we just pass the name of the variable, okay, or the column. Okay, let's see what happens. It's the same thing. We get the content, okay, of the variable MPG, okay, same as using that. But what if we just want to slice, you know, this is called recursive subsetting, right? What if we just want to get the third element from our first column? Let's say we want to extract this 22.8. Okay, this is how we do it. We concatenate C1 of 3. Okay, so that will just extract for us this specific element in our first column. Okay, so that's why it's very important here. Other ways you can extract data from a data frame, we can use subset. Okay, subset, just you have to give two arguments. That's your data set. Then use the select function to select the specific columns. So for example, here, our data set is called df. Then we use the select function equals to, we want to select just the name and age. If you remember, df looks like this. So here we're saying we just want to get this and age only. So our results should look close to that. So we've sliced a bit of that. Okay. Similarly here, I can also, if you loaded your empty cars, can get that, and you can say we just want to select HP. Remember, the name has to match, and maybe a cylinder here. Okay, do that, and I get a subset of that. Okay, beyond these basic R functions, we can also use a dplyr package. First of all, if you haven't installed, you can comment that and install that. And then to load the library, you can do that. So in dplyr, we have also a verb called select, right? So essentially here, we're saying from this data frame, we use the pipe operator. How we read that, we say from this data frame, then select 1 and 3. 1 and 3 will be first column, third column. We run that. That will be for the data frame. Okay. What if we just want to do for empty card? Then just do that. Shift Command M, insert the pipe operator, select, and I could just say 1 and 3. That will be MPG and display. Okay. If I go here, you can see we've actually subset the extracted elements from our data set. Okay. And that's it as far as selecting data elements from a data frame.